Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be looking at the Bitcoin chart and how Bitcoin right now is producing higher highs and higher lows, but is continuing to get rejected at the 50-day moving average. So the big question for Bitcoin is, will it break this 50-day moving average and move on to the upside and continue on the bull trend, or will it get rejected from the 50-day moving average and continue on to the downside, further cementing the Wyckoff chart that I did with the Bitcoin price, where Bitcoin could be in a position where it's either playing out a break to the downside, which would move it into phase E, or we're going to pump in another higher low and break out of this box capitalization phase into an uptrend, and Bitcoin will break the resistance and continue on to the upside and get this bull run market back into action. So if that sounds interesting to you and you want to find out more, stay tuned and let's get into the video. Hi everyone, so we're going to go into the charts now and talk about the Bitcoin putting in higher highs and higher lows, and also how Bitcoin's still getting rejected at the 50-day moving average and how Bitcoin's big decross on the daily chart is playing out. So we'll jump into the 4-hour chart here, and a lot of people, and you would have seen a lot of information probably over the last couple of days on YouTube from people with technical analysis saying that Bitcoin's playing out this rising wedge, which is obviously a bearish signal, and it's playing out and pumping onto the downside. And if you're trading sort of shorter time frames, then this is certainly a possibility if you was looking to trade that. But it was inevitable that Bitcoin was going to sort of get rejected from the 200-day moving average here on the 4-hour and continue a bit more on the downside. But what I want to look at and what I want to show everyone is the bigger picture. So if you have a look here, if I just squeeze this price down and bring the chart in, you can see Bitcoin, so on the 19th of May, so that's nearly a whole month now because we're on the 18th of June, has been trading sideways in this channel now for the whole month, and he's just been sort of consolidating. Now this, to me, is still the capitalization phase of the Wyckoff charts that we've all been looking at. So this here is the capitalization, and Bitcoin just trading sideways for the whole month. So we're getting to a crucial stage now where we need to see whether Bitcoin is going to start making a break and rising up, or it's going to continue on the downside into this phase E, where we have a bit more pain, a bit more drop before we see the bottom, and then we start sort of rising shoots and making a bit more momentum to the upside. Now I'm bearish and I'm still bullish, and I think the market is still bullish, but what this is looking like it's playing out here on the big chart, on this Wyckoff chart here, is that we'll probably continue on the downside a little bit. Now from the smart money aspect, you know, a lot of day traders, a lot of traders that have been in a long or short position throughout the week will not carry it over to the weekend, because obviously they don't trade at the weekends, so they'll be looking to close or end their positions by the end of today. Now obviously I'm in the European in London, so I think by 4 o'clock our time, definitely the Europeans will be sort of momentum in their shift to the downside or to the upside, getting rid of their positions. Now I personally think we might see a little bit more of a downside. I mean, I could be wrong, but obviously looking at the way the charts are playing out and looking at the daily closes on the candles, and also going back to the 4-hour, how it's getting rejected from this 50-day moving average on the 4-hour, it's still looking like Bitcoin could be probably coming down to the downside a little bit more, and maybe breaking through what has been sort of like not a strong support, but definitely some support area here, because you see this consolidation here was getting rejected, went down to the downside before we pumped up. We've come down and we've touched this nicely here, where all this rejection was getting here. So this, to me, if Bitcoin is truly on a uptrend, so let's just look at this quickly. So if Bitcoin's continuing its uptrend and this truly was the bottom here, ignore this rising wedge for a moment, and we're still producing higher highs and higher lows, then this then would be a confirmation, a firm support for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin should theoretically take a rejection here and move on to the upside a little bit more to break this kind of resistance area to perform another higher high. So we'd be looking to, maybe if the weekend was boring, we'd be consolidating a little bit here, maybe a little fake out, then continue up, then obviously however it goes up, but to put in another higher high we'd have to break this strong, what's been strong resistance, and then put a close in up there, and then continue, obviously confirm it, and then continue on to the upside, and maybe even close out. If the low closes out here, then that would continue, so we'd have this lower low here, higher high, lower low, higher high, and then this would be the lower low here, and then this would be the higher high here, and then that for me would put a lot more confidence in the market that Bitcoin now has gone on its downtrend. It's done what's called the mushroom, the reverse mushroom. So it's come from its downtrend here, found its bottom, and now it's slowly grinding its way onto the upside. And this you see, so we'll squeeze out here, and this you're seeing trading a lot. You see when something shoots down, what we could see is it play out a really huge cup and handle, but that's a long way off. But what we like to see here is the mushroom effect, where the market comes down, finds its bottom, and then starts its momentum on the way up, because obviously it's putting in the higher highs and the higher lows here. If we didn't see these higher highs and higher lows, and then it was continuing on the downside, I'd still think it was in a downtrend, where I don't think it is at the moment. And this would play out perfectly for the daily chart in pure factor, is that it would make this decross pretty much invalid, because then obviously this 50-day moving average would start to move away, the 200-day moving average would start to go a bit more, just a slightly up and a bit more sideways, and then that would confirm to me that Bitcoin's now starting to be in a bit more of an uptrend. And I'd be a lot, if we broke out above this 42,000 kind of mark here and confirm the close, and then started breaking above the 50-day moving average, that would put me very, very bullish on Bitcoin. So what I want to do is just consolidate quickly before anyone starts taking any long, like big longs, unless you're trading on a lower time frame. But we're talking about the daily or the 4 hourly if you're looking for the overall Bitcoin price. Before anyone starts taking any longs or short positions, we just need to see how Bitcoin plays out with this rejection from the 50-day moving average here, and that Bitcoin then starts to take an upside and confirms that this is yet a third test of a higher low. Because when you've got 1, 2, 3 higher lows and 1, 2 going into the third higher high, then that would put a lot more confidence in the market. It would make invalid this big decross. It would break a resistance. So you've got to think of the key factors here. The only thing that could be letting it down is the volume. If the volume's not in the market, then obviously we know the smart money is not going to be playing over the weekend. So anything that happens over the weekend is purely retail, and retail are probably a bit more volatile, they're a bit more panicky, they're a bit more hyped, and we could see prices move up and down a lot quicker. But if money comes in from the retail at the weekend and then puts in another higher high, if we do see that like we did last Sunday, then this might put a confidence in the market for the smart money when it comes in on Monday to think Bitcoin now. They'll be looking at the same kind of technical analysis I am, and they'll be thinking, right, Bitcoin probably bottomed out here, and now it's putting in the higher high, the higher lows, and it's continuing on this upside. They will see that it's breaking the trend, it's confirming that it's on the uptrend by the higher highs and the higher lows, and they know they're the ones now that they control the volume. So if they put the volume in, for them, that's all the boxes ticked for Bitcoin to be bullish, and then we could see a big momentum onto the upside. But that's just my quick analysis on on what I think Bitcoin's going to do. I personally, and if we go back to my Wyckoff chart here that I drawn on the Bitcoin price, I personally think at the moment, because of obviously the way things are going to go with day traders on a Friday and where it went last weekend with the retail, we might possibly see a slight bit of downside still on the price here. We'll probably close a little bit lower here, and then we might see a bit of movement over the retail and the volatility of the weekend. But because obviously, like I said, the factors that the smart money don't want to carry their trade, the day traders won't carry their trades over, the smart money won't carry their trades over, unless they've, for some reason, they can see that there's a buying opportunity, which I personally think is less likely to happen, because Bitcoin's still slightly higher than it was, but it's not as high as the 40k mark that they knew we hit last weekend. So if you think you're a day trader, or you're a trader and you're smart money and you're thinking, okay, great, we know that this probably could hit 40,000, we're buying Bitcoin at 37, it's a tough call, because it's bang in the middle. If Bitcoin was lower, if it was like down here at, like, say for instance the 34s, then I'd expect it, yeah, definitely to have a bit of a relief rally on the upside. But because Bitcoin's bang in the middle, we could see it just go sideways and be a little bit boring this weekend. So that's why I'm saying air caution with your trades. Now if we just jump back to the chart quickly, and you can see here that Bitcoin's now sort of on the 4 hour, you can see it's getting smaller. So this now is what I would think would be consolidating a little bit at the bottom and confirming this as support, and about to take a turn and put in a sort of higher low and go a little bit sideways maybe. So maybe do something like this, go a little bit sideways, and then probably move on to the upside a bit. Now we could see, when I say could see a little bit lower, we could see a little down and a little fake out here. So we could see a little pump, a little fake out, and then it could sort of come in, because this would still, anything above here really would still put in, I think probably about here, would still put in a higher low. But if we're looking at the percentage wises of how these higher lows are going, so we're just going to take body to body here. So we're looking at like 8%, and we'll just take body to body again. So yeah, and if we do this one just to confirm, sorry, it's being a bit of a pain. For 8%, we'd be expecting Bitcoin to close below this sort of strong support line. So it still could come up, get rejected at support and consolidate a little bit here, and still close a higher low, and then obviously confirm this support and then break onto the upside. So this weekend's going to be a bit tricky and a bit turbulent, but it's the reason it's an urgent Bitcoin call is because Bitcoin needs to close a higher low this weekend in order to continue on the uptrend and confirm that this was Bitcoin's bottom, and now we're putting in higher highs and higher lows on the way up. So let me know what you think. Slap a like, leave a comment below. Let me know if you agree with what I'm saying, and that you think, yeah, that's right, Bitcoin's on a slight uptrend now, it's just taking a little bit longer than normal, and that we're putting in higher highs and higher lows, and that this weekend could be slightly volatile. But if it puts in another higher low, we could be pretty much confident that we break the resistance at 40, it's around about 41.5, 42, and the smart money will come in next week, see that, and we could, as long as we get the volume, could be seeing Bitcoin go into a bit more of an uptrend. Whereas if it fails to put in that higher low, we could see Bitcoin get rejected again at the 200-day moving average on the 4 hour and the 50-day moving average on the 1 hour chart, and then start pumping a bit more to the downside, and this then would confirm into the other Wyckoff method that I put, where Bitcoin's slightly being dragged into that phase E, and there's a bit more pain to come before the upside. So anyway, again, I'm Christian, this is Crypto Ripto. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found this technical analysis useful. I'm pretty passionate about it, so I'll probably waffle on a little bit, but I think you get the gist of it from my drawings and the higher highs, and you can put that into your own charts. But as always, we do this technical analysis so you can trade safe, trade smart, and don't get it.